In this video, we're going to learn how to read chemical structures. This is going to be really important, especially as we start seeing some of our larger biomolecules, such as this one, which is adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. First, let's recall that we have 4 favorite elements as biologists. These make up over 96% of living cells: hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. Here are the Bohr models of these elements. Notice that none of them has a full outer shell, which means that they want to form chemical bonds with other atoms. And covalent bonding is going to be the most important way that they can do that to form biological molecules. We can deduce how many covalent bonds they can make by how many electrons they're missing in that outer shell. So we can see that hydrogen wants to form 1 covalent bond, oxygen 2, nitrogen 3, and carbon 4. We represent these covalent bonds by these solid lines. All of these are single covalent bonds, but remember, we can also have double covalent bonds, and each double bond counts as 2 single bonds. So this is what that might look like. Notice that hydrogen cannot make double bonds, but the others can. Okay, let's start looking at some chemical structures. Here's our first one. This is ethanol. Ethanol is used for lots of things, including hand sanitizer, but the use that people are generally most familiar with is that ethanol is the active ingredient in alcoholic beverages, such as this champagne, which looks really nice right now. So this is the molecule that makes you feel good if you drink alcohol, and also the molecule that makes you feel bad if you continue to drink alcohol past the point of moderation. We're seeing a 2-carbon backbone here, and notice that each carbon has exactly 4 covalent bonds. Oxygen has 2, and each hydrogen has 1. We can also write out the chemical formula just by counting the number of atoms. We have 2 carbons, 6 hydrogens, and 1 oxygen. So the chemical formula is C2H6O. Easy enough, right? Let's move on to another chemical structure. And here we are. This is the chemical structure of acetone. Acetone is used for a whole lot of things, including nail polish remover. Okay, but what's going on here? There's only one letter, O, but we're not seeing any C's or H's or anything else. The structure kind of looks like a little person doing the splits or something. But guess what? The carbons and hydrogens are there. We often simplify chemical structure so that we don't have to write out all of the carbons and hydrogens. It wouldn't be so hard in acetone, but as we get to bigger and bigger molecules, it would be a problem to write them all out. So 2 things to remember when we look at a structure like this. First, we'll think about carbons. Every place a line starts, stops, or changes direction is a carbon, as long as there isn't a different atomic symbol there. So in this molecule, we have a carbon here, and a carbon here. 3 carbons. Okay, what about the hydrogens? Well, hydrogens are so abundant that we often don't even write them out, even when they're just attached to the carbons. But they are there, and what you need to assume is that there are enough hydrogens for each carbon to be making 4 covalent bonds. So, on this carbon, on the left, we already have 1 single covalent bond to the middle carbon. So we need to make 3 more covalent bonds, and each of these is going to have a hydrogen. Okay, and the same with the carbon on the far right. It already has 1 covalent bond to that middle carbon, so it needs 3 more hydrogens to be complete. Okay, what about the carbon in the middle? Well, the carbon in the middle already has 1 covalent bond to each of the other carbons and a double covalent bond to oxygen. So it already has 4. It doesn't need to have any hydrogens, and it can't make another covalent bond. All right, so let's write out the chemical formula. We have 3 carbons, 6 hydrogens, and 1 oxygen. So C3H6O. Okay, next structure, Benzaldehyde. This is an aromatic compound that gives the bitter almond taste and smell. It's used to make artificial almond extract, and you can smell it in a variety of fruits. But we have something interesting going on here. The carbons now have formed a ring structure. But same idea. Every time the line starts, stops, or changes directions, we have a carbon. So we have a carbon here, 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 and here. Okay, so 7 carbons total. All right, now we need to do the hydrogens. Okay, let's start with this carbon up at the top in the linear part of the structure. So it has a double covalent bond to oxygen and then a single covalent bond. So it needs one more hydrogen. Okay, now the carbons in the ring structure. The one on the top has one single covalent bond to the carbon outside the ring, and then it has 1, 2, 3. Okay, one double and one single covalent bond to the other carbons in the ring. So it has 4 bonds already. We're not going to add a hydrogen. Let's come over to the left. We have this carbon right here, and it is going to need 1 hydrogen because it has 1 single and 1 double. That's 3 covalent bonds, so it needs 1 more. Same with this carbon, same with this carbon, same with this carbon, and same with this carbon. Now we can figure out the chemical formula of this, so we can just count up the carbons. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hydrogens, and I see 1 oxygen. So C7H6O is our chemical formula. Okay, hopefully that's all made sense so far. Let's give it a test. Okay, this is going to be a little more complicated. This is the chemical structure of geosmin. This is a molecule that you've probably encountered before. It's one of the main molecules that causes the smell in the air after it rains. That smell is called petrichor, and a good deal of it is due to this molecule, which is produced mainly by bacteria that live in the soil. So, here's your test. Pause the video and figure out the chemical formula for geosmin. Okay, hopefully you came up with C12H22O. I hope that you enjoyed this video and have a better sense of how to read a chemical structure.